everybody, welcome to my presentation on the relationship between war and social change. So, just for an overview of the concept of war and social change as my topic that I chose. So, some little background information of something I looked up going into this topic. Research shows that war looms over the loss of everyday life, especially of those whose countries are currently involved in war. Some countries exempling is Afghanistan, Yemen, Syria, Mexico, Turkey, Somalia, and Iraq, just as a few. And I wanted to point out some key factors of why war and social change are related, such as political inequality, which relates to unemployment rates, and then gender inequality, which also relates to women's war, which I have later on in the presentation. So women's involvement. So I really wanted to focus on the world wars because in class we really kind of focused on the women's involvement in these wars and how it impacted women in war. So just some key little notes is women overtook male-dominated fields such as factory work. Big examples including making military-grade weapons, bullets, and planes. And when the wars ended, women felt like they did not get the support and recognition that they deserved, which influenced social change and the production of the 19th Amendment, which happened during or a little after the World War I. So, the 19th Amendment was giving the women the right to vote, which is a little step forward in social change, giving women just a little boost of confidence, feeling like they can make their name of something one day because they are being able to vote, which now, looking at it, women are allowed to do so many things, but feeling like being back then, social change, that would have been a really big progression in social change, which that is one positive of war is what life is like now because women put their foot forward and tried to make a change for it. So on the home front, so with women being left home, they are left to raise families alone and being breadwinners, so it's really hard to juggle the two of them, which I could never imagine personally that happening. So with that being said, the death rates of wars caused dips in birth rates, which slowed the social progression in countries and the number of incoming children. So with that said, the anxiety, guilt, and grief play huge factors in social patterns of everyday life, which I feel like this can go with anything. These three play huge factors in how a person works, how society works, and how someone will go through their everyday life being like, because these three things are terrible things that people will have to go through. Next is, I proposed a question of, is social change a key factor of war? So I focused on especially the Vietnam War due to the fact that it was such a terrible time in the United States, and I wanted to kind of see if the divide between the two parties of being for the war and being against the war, if that caused a regression in social change in the country. So, as stated here, soldiers coming back from battle, having a tough time meshing back into the daily life and their daily routine, which one would, and those who are battling PTSD and military-grade injuries, such as losing limbs or any kind of trauma that they went through. So I feel like this kind of really impacted the progression of social change, just due to the fact that there's a divide between the two parties and people were feeling like they weren't getting recognition and the people they weren't being heard. So it caused kind of like a divide, like I said, and people kind of resenting people for it, which created social change going way back and regression, that aspect. Nextly, I looked at seeking asylum. So, as I have stated here, war taints society and forever alters the culture and identity of those people. They are forced to migrate, and for the sake of their safety and a better future, carrying their culture with them, but in the process altering them. So the first thing that popped into my head was Muslims coming to America or any country and them feeling unsafe practicing their religion, the tradition and reversing social change, which I never really thought of this before, but until researching this topic more, I kind of really came to the conclusion that people seeking asylum is social change, and changing countries because people of different cultures are coming in and creating the melting pot effect, which is creating cultural divides and people feeling like they cannot practice religion and their tradition, which again reverses social change and then resorting back to hiding within their shells, which is not how the world should work. People should do as they freely can and do as they want, because we're all people. We all should be able to deserve what we want. Next, I have economics. So I feel like economics and social change equal war. So with that being said, wars cost a lot of money, especially to take weapons and send soldiers to the front, supply them with food and ammunition, which at home causes inflation of goods, which equals social change. Then, many soldiers who come back wounded or not at all, which causing turmoil in society and regression of social change, because due to people not being able to work, families losing loved ones, and people having to take over being breadwinners in families, which causes social change. As well as wars force political leaders to make hasty and poor decisions that can result in deaths of many more men, again causing birth rates to dip and causing change, like social change. So that is all I have for my presentation for the relationship between war and social change. I feel like these topics that I went over are really key factors of why war and social change are so alike in many ways, and how their relationship is very similar. So thank you guys so much for listening, and hope you guys have a great day.